We have multiple major New York Mets updates as the Mets have just made a sneaky signing, and this is amidst David Stearns revealing what the next move for the New York Mets is, and all fans have looked at the number one prize on the trade market right now, and there is a lot to go over on this front, because where we stand right now, as we know, the Mets did not land Cody Bellinger. He ended up going back to the New York Yankees, and that's not too surprising they didn't land him after the acquisition of Luis Robert Jr. But the Mets aren't done making moves. They want to go out there, they want to continue to make some moves, and they want to continue to make this team better. And David Stearns spoke openly about what he wants to do for the team ahead of everything getting rolling for spring training and for this roster as the free agency market continues to change, with Bellinger now off of it. As the trade market continues to liven up with a lot of free agents having signed, more moves are coming to the Mets and in the MLB in a general sense. And because of this, what we're starting to see is a few different things going on. We're not going to waste your time here on Mets Digest. The move that the Mets have just made was signing relief pitcher Luis Garcia to a contract. Now, Garcia, who's 38 years old, had a 3.42 ERA in 58 games pitched last season with the Dodgers, Nationals, and Angels, and has a career 4.07 ERA in 603 appearances. The veteran gives the Mets another reliable arm in the bullpen, something that they could use. Obviously, they have made a few bullpen acquisitions after losing Edwin Diaz, bringing in both Devin Williams and Luke Weaver, two guys who, if they play like they have before, including points that last season with the Yankees, should be huge helps to this bullpen. When we look at Garcia, he's easily a very talented player, and there's no doubt about that. With an ERA of 3.42 last year, he had a solid year overall in 55.1 innings pitched. He played in 58 games, played decently. He did have an elevated whip being a ground-out guy. He did allow guys on base at a fair amount, but is someone who you can rely on. Ultimately, he is getting older, but hasn't really shown like he's going to fall off a cliff or anything right now. Gives the Mets another guy who they could use out in their pen, and overall, he's a veteran of the game, and it never hurts to add a veteran to a team that wants more pitching help and also does want to win games. Garcia absolutely knows how to win games, and he is someone who I honestly like the move of. It feels like there's no real risk to this, but there is a good reward that comes out of it, which is landing a pitcher who just gives the Mets more stability in a bullpen that certainly could need it. But on top of that, there's other stuff that's going to happen with this team. But before we dive into all the news today, this video is brought to you by Kalshi. And if you download it using the link below and enter the code DIGESTMLB, you'll get $20 when you trade your first 100. Now, Kalshi is the largest prediction market in the United States, and on their platform, you can trade yes, no on real-life events, whether that's sports, the news, elections, weather, and pretty much everything. And whether you're in New York, California, Texas, or anywhere else across the country, Kalshi is live in all 50 states. Now, for sports fans, you can trade on game outcomes, playoff chances, or player performances, all on a regulated market where you can cash out at any time. Now, guys, right now, the NFL playoffs are about to kick off, and what we are seeing is a very competitive AFC right now, and depending on the team that you decide to trade on, you can get a very nice payout. I believe the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen, who I think is the best player in the AFC, will pull off being the AFC champions, and we will see Josh Allen play in his first Super Bowl. And if you trade $10 on that, you will get $52 back. It's a great deal, guys. And remember, if you use the code DIGESTMLB, that is DIGESTMLB, you get $20 when you trade your first 100. But let's get into the news today, guys. We have a lot to go over. The ad will change, I promise. There's not going to be any more Bills talk. But look, when it comes down to everything surrounding this New York Mets team, almost said Jets because I mentioned football right there, but when it comes down to the Mets, there are more moves to be done. However, again, they didn't make a bad move right here, bringing in a guy who knows how to ultimately pitch. Again, Luis Garcia had a 3.42 ERA, and it showed through his numbers. I mean, the off-speed run value was above average. He gets a good ground ball percentage being a ground ball pitcher, and he's got nice fastball velocity, nearing 97 miles per hour, even as he gets older. Those are things to like. He's not going to allow a ton of big-time hits either. He's good at getting you to make contact and make weak contact. Something that there is to like about that, especially when you do know that there's a guy like Devin Williams on the Mets, so you do have a strikeout pitcher already in that bullpen, so you get a ground out guy, get to mix things up a little bit. And again, just overall a veteran onto the team. However, we're also looking at what else the Mets are going to do. And David Stearns recently talked about that, saying, my preference is to add a starting pitcher. I've been open and honest about that through the entirety of the offseason. I can't say with certainty we're going to be able to do that, but we remain engaged on a number of different fronts in that market. We've still got plenty of time to go into the offseason, plenty of time before opening day. We'll see where it heads. And that is a very interesting way to put things. Stearns also did say, I can't say with certainty we're going to be able to do that, which is the main thing, that he's not certain about it. That's the part of that quote that gets me. He's not saying that it's a sure thing, but he's made it pretty clear that he fully intends on adding more starting pitching. Now, there's a few different names here. The one that comes up the most is Freddie Peralta. We know the Mets are one of the two most teams engaged in Peralta right now, and they could outbid the Yankees for the other one. Peralta had a 17-6 win-loss with a 5.5 WAR. He's a great pitcher with a 2.7 ERA to show for it in 33 starts. Workhorse guy, can pitch a lot of innings, pitched 176.2 innings with 204 strikeouts. He's everything to love. He also gives you a legit ace for a Mets team that could use a legit ace outside of Nolan McClain just because of the lack of innings McClain has pitched. On top of that, if you're looking at the free agent market, Framber Valdez is the guy who the Mets have held interest in. 3.8 WAR, and if you want to talk workhorses, he is the guy for you. 192 innings pitched, can really go, and threw 187 strikeouts. As a ground out pitcher, that's not bad at all. In fact, that's quite good. It's a lot. It's probably the most you'll get out of any ground ball pitcher, ground out pitcher. So there is stuff to like about Valdez. He's a fiery guy who really does wear his heart on his sleeve when he plays baseball, which is something you got to respect. I love the passion that he has out on the floor. And, I mean, the whip of 1.245, it's not bad at all. And it doesn't worry me because I know he's going to allow guys on base. He's a ground ball pitcher, but he gets out of innings well. 3.66 ERA gives you nothing to sneeze at, and a guy who ultimately is going to be good for whatever team he pitches for. Is he going to be a superstar? No, not per se, but he is a solid arm who you could rely on. And that's something that would not hurt the Mets because a lot of their arms right now, as I've mentioned before, are kind of, well, if this works out, we're good. And that's something that you do have to think about. Now, on top of that, you can look a little bit lower on the free agent market as well, which is something I've thought about. Lucas Giolito stands out as a guy who could get a 2-year contract from the Mets, probably worth around $40 million total, $20 million average annual value. He bounced back last year. He can pitch well, had 145 innings of work in 26 starts, had 121 strikeouts, another ground ball pitcher, and Giolito just had one of his best seasons, 3.41 ERA, played well in Boston, would have been their third starter in the wild card game, but was injured, and that's been Giolito's biggest problem is that he can't stay healthy. But when the Santa Monica native is healthy, he pitches really well. He's someone, again, who the Mets would be relying on health for, which they're already doing for one or two guys already. But at the same time, he's someone to trust, he's someone to like, and he's someone worth a flyer if the Mets really don't end up with one of Peralta or Valdez. I will say also on top of this, I do think the Mets end up with one of Peralta or Valdez, but let's say in an alternate universe they don't, or let's say they do end up with Peralta and decide, hey, we got more money to spend, then you can still look at Lucas Giolito as a real option for sure. Or, in my mind, the most underrated pitcher on the market right now is Zach Liddell, who had a 3.81 ERA, a 1.104 whip in 32 starts. Another workhorse guy who's not afraid to pitch a lot of innings. Another ground ball guy as well. But, again, just had a great run last season, pitched in the wild card for the Reds, and just had his best season with a 3.2 WAR. I really like the idea of Zach Liddell. I think that he's worth a lot more money than he's likely going to get paid, and the Mets could reap the rewards of that the same way I wanted them to do that with Michael King. But, guys, how do you feel about these potential moves? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day. I will catch you all later.